Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
I'm J.D. Damron. What's going on, everybody?
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. J.D. And I have absolutely nothing topic-wise to talk about today, so we're once again going to prove that we can literally burn an hour because we talk so much.
So, we talked about this before on this show, how easy the show was when Trump was president. Because he kept the hornet's nest going all the time, And now we got bored Joe Biden in there now.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about. That is
Come on, Joe.
That is something. Let me write that down. It's something you and I talked about briefly the other day when we were at the Alliance office about how different it is.
Absolutely.
All right, so man, not a whole lot really happened for me this week. We always kind of start the show out, kind of our week in review. I did, as far as most weeks, it was just your normal work week for me, just hammering away, every day trying to put people in debt, giving them the American dream. But I did, however, get a chance to hang out with your son, JD, last night for most of the evening. I got to hang out with Chase. My nephew, Gabe, got married. So congratulations to Gabe and Kendra. They got married last night. That would be Amy's nephew. And JD's son Chase dates Gabe's first cousin Asia, so they were at the wedding, and we kind of got to hang out. And JD, it made me feel old because when Amy and I first started dating, Gabe was a little boy. I mean, he was. I'm talking like 3,
Right, yeah.
And then last night he's this big grown man. He's like 6'6", and getting married and all grown up,
and all that. Yeah,
wanting to talk to me about buying a house, and I'm like, what is going on? So I felt old, man. I said it was kind of crazy, but I did have a good time hanging out with Chase.
Yeah, Chase is cool to hang out with, man. He's like the one-liner king, though. I love it.
He really is.
Yeah, he comes up with some good one-liners, and I don't know where he gets that from, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I don't know where you – well, how was your week?
My week was cool, man. Very uneventful, which is in my industry, that's a very good week. I'll take that all week, every week. Seems to be the system seems to be tightening up. Things seem to be going well. But we're going to keep on, staying on top of things, being proactive, and getting the system where it needs to be. And but let's see what I do this weekend. Oh, I went golfing. I went golfing Friday, which is
golf?
No, absolutely. If you'd see me golfing, you'd be like, no. You definitely do not golf.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't ask that question.
What up, Rundle? No, I'm terrible. What's going on, Josh? It's going good. So I think we made it through 5 holes. I think it only took us 3.5 hours. But I was terrible, but I was the least terrible out of the group I was with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, now when like a lot of people think in my field, right, that I would play golf all the time. It's just, but I work all the time. Like I don't have time necessarily to just go play golf. And when I was in college at Eastern, we lived on the same dorm floor as the golf team. And we got to be really good friends with those guys. Like they were some of our best friends through college was the guys on the golf team. And we used to go out with them and golf. And we would drive their carts while they practiced, and we would drink beer. And we would occasionally get off and maybe take a swing at a golf ball or something like that. But, for the most part, we just drove the guys around, and they practiced and we drank.
So we went over there, and we went and ate before we went to golf, and I drank 4 beers. And then I drank 12 beers while I was there through 5 holes. And I got home. Of course, I had to be drove home, obviously. And I was like, bro, I need a 12-pack. So my buddy drove me down to get a 12-pack. I came in, sat it on the chair, and went straight to the bed.
You just need to make sure you had that 12-pack around just in case.
Yeah, so I lost all Friday evening. But it was a really good time, man, golfing, hanging out. It was a good time.
I will tell you one thing that was kind of fun last night at this wedding, and I don't know. It was anyway. All right. So they get married, and the bride decides that she doesn't want anybody to eat right until she's done with pictures, and she wants her and her crew to go through first.
Sure.
At the eating line, and which was fine. Right. And but it took him a while, right, to take pictures and do all that. Well, the first thing Chase said to me, dog, last night when I saw him was like, dude, when we get to eat, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's going to be a while. I said, because, you got this whole wedding and you got all this. Hold on, Rundle. Jimmy, during the party with the football player at your apartment that one night, I have no dream to see you ever sit. Yes, Rundle, I do. And we will not tell that on this show.
It's one of those stories that's not going to be retold.
You keep that to yourself, Rundle. But no, we so and I hadn't eaten either, dude. So when the wedding went down, it was about dinner time, right? So we go, and the wedding comes on. We go in there, we set up. We're all sitting there waiting, and I walk in, and Chase and them are like, "Hey, dude, there's chicken in the back. I hear it's pretty good." And I was like, "What are y'all talking about?" I said, "Look, go back there. There's a box of chicken right there. You can grab a strip. Go to the back corner of the room."
My son's running the Black Mark chicken ring.
Yes. So you can go over to the back corner and you can eat your chicken there. I was like, all right, cool. So what did I do? I slid around the room and got me a piece of chicken. I was starving. We were back there, JD. We essentially got caught, right? Because the wedding party comes in and we're all, me, Chase, Holly's boyfriend, his name, sorry, escapes my mind right this second. We're all standing back there around this food, right? And we're eating these chicken strips. And here comes the wedding party. We're like, oh, crap. So we start taking, me and Chase immediately go and start taking the full off of all the other food. And we're stirring up mashed potatoes and mac and cheese like we're back there helping, right? And we were legit back there snaking food. And so
you got to compromise, bro. You got to improvise.
Yeah, when you're hungry, you do what you got to do when you're hungry. But no, that was kind of funny because we were kind of laughing, but yeah, we had a box of chicken that if it got real bad, we were just going to take it out back and sit behind the building and eat.
That's funny. I wish I'd been there for that.
Right. Well, and it never ceases to amaze me, JD, about where we live, because I was in a place that I didn't even know existed. We were back in the head of nowhere at the Floyd County Hunting Club, and it was gorgeous. Like, it was beautiful back there.
Yeah.
But, dude, you went up 80, about, 5-10 miles, took a right, and then drove back up into the hill. And it was a little 2-lane winding road. And you went back in the hill. And like I said, I was like, dude, where we at? I've never been in this part of the world in my life.
Oh, man. So, yeah, there's a bunch of places like that. Even since I started working in the water, I was like, I ain't never even been here. I didn't know this place existed, and people were living here, whatever. But Jason Reynolds, he reminded me of a question I've always wanted to ask you, man, that I don't think we've ever talked about on this show. Is there that one alcohol that you won't drink anymore? Because I definitely have that alcohol. It's like, is there one alcohol that you got so messed up on or sick on that you just can't handle anymore?
Yeah,
I definitely have a story.
There's actually two. One is Jägermeister.
Same.
Because it was college and nobody had anything else to drink, but they had a bottle of Jaeger. And so we sat and did shots of Jaeger all night. Now, this was for people that are my customers that are watching. This was 25 years ago. But it was, and I got so sick. I got so sick. And the other is Goldschlager.
Yeah, okay.
And I can't drink that stuff anymore either. I drank it one night, threw up, and then ever since then, Gold Flakes. I just can't do it.
So I've got two. Also, one of them is Jägermeister. It's been about 3 years ago now. I think we went down to a state for the youth league, and I was like I'm stressed out. Like the night before state, I wanted to get on the go and we'll just have a good time. So I bought a fifth of Jaeger. Usually the parents will have some. We'll hang out, have some drinks. But this night, like nobody really was feeling it for some reason except me. And so I think somebody had like a couple shots of the Jägermeister, but I drank the whole fifth by myself.
Oh, no.
So I love Jaeger. I think it's a great buzz. Makes my face numb. I love it. But I think I drank the whole fifth. I ended up passing out in the bathroom. And I had a lady with me, and she was like, JD, you're laying in the bathroom floor. And I looked up at her, and I went, word? And but ended up getting up at 6 o'clock, man, going out and doing my coaching deal, and we ended up winning the state that day. But that's the one alcohol I can't handle. The other one is Jose Cuervo.
Little tequila.
Oh, man. So we was living in Huntington, and we was, in bad shape, doing bad things, not being good people. And one of our buddies who just got out of prison,
There you go.
Hank, came up and was hanging out. He brought some Jose Cuervo with him, and he had the worm at the bottom. I guess it's Jose Cuervo. Was that the one with the worm? They have worm in it. Does the worm?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, I bet you can't get that worm." And I was like, "Oh, this worm ain't shit." And I turned that bottle up and I chugged it down. I got that worm. And remember, the last thing I remember is setting that bottle down.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I've now been able to drink Jose Cuervo or really tequila. I've had some shots of Patron since then, but there's something about that Jose Cuervo, man. When I smell it, makes me sick.
Yeah, no, Jaeger does that for me. I just got really sick, and I always enjoyed the Jägermeister too. I always enjoyed the buzz that it gave. It, like you said, it'll make your face numb. It's really weird. It's but I always enjoyed Jaeger too. But that night I had way too much, and it was just. And like I said, now even if I smell it, if I smell almost like that licorice smell, it makes me sick. I just can't. I can't deal with it at all. So let me throw something at you here, man. This week on KSR, they've been doing a 90s country bracket, country music bracket.
Okay.
And it is like taking me back. Like all week, I've been listening to 90s country music. Now, by nature, I am a rock and roll fan. I am a Metallica fan. That is my group. I love Metallica. I love rock and roll. But I also am very diversified in my musical taste. Like I like a lot of different music. And in the 90s, country music was really big. And like, you're talking Brooks and Dunn and the Dixie Chicks and, God, I mean, just Garth go Brooks. On. Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt, George Strait, Clint Black, Aaron Tippin, Joe Diffie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can go on and on and on. And I just wondered, like, were you a 90s country fan at all, or is that just me?
No, actually, I'm still a 90s country fan. So when I was working at Bucks Vana, I worked with some kind of older guys, and they really liked country music. Well, of course, I don't even really listen to country music anymore. There's a couple guys I like. I actually think Morgan Wallen's pretty good. Yeah. And Luke Combs is excellent, man. He's a really talented guy. But outside those guys, I really don't listen to country music. But I put a playlist together of country music just so we could listen to music that day. Didn't have to worry about people being mad about what was still on. We could just put the playlist on and let it play. And so almost all the country that I put on there was from the 90s. And
oh yeah, sorry, the Chicks.
So like I actually got down with some country in the 90s, man. I thought it was really good. I got a cool little story, man. My buddy who's dead now, he passed away, Justin Horn, and I went to football camp up in California, Pennsylvania. And it's right when Tim McGraw's first album came out with the Don't Take the Girl and Not a Moment Too Soon and Indian Outlaw and all those. And we played that CD like so many times. Tracy Lawrence, was a big one in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
But we played that CD so much, man. And one day we was going to get on the bus to go to practice. Like we drove from the dorms over to the practice field. And so we got all ready. We suited up. Everybody suited up. And there's like, the bus is going to win 10 more minutes. Be ready. It was like, oh, okay, cool. So we went back in our dorm room. We turned the music on just a little bit. We laid back on our beds. And the next thing I know, Justin's over me shaking me going, J.D., get up. I was like, what's going on? He goes, we missed practice.
Oh, no.
So we missed practice at football camp. And Coach Matney about run us into the ground. I mean, out in front of – when they got back from practice, man, he took us out in front of everybody, all the college students, all the football players, all the teams that were there. There was – a lot of girls' volleyball teams in the next dorm over, and he run our guts out in front of everybody, man. It was terrible. Shoo.
And you're right, Rundle. Nothing screams 90s country like Billy Ray Cyrus. And look, we will not make fun of Billy Ray Cyrus on this show because he is from Flatwoods, Kentucky, which is about, 45 minutes from here, J.D. He's one of us. And I used to hear about these, like the older generation, older than us, like the generation above us, used to go down to some bar in Flatwoods and listen to Billy Ray all the time.
Yeah, well, he used to come over to over on Tulsa Highway too with to JoJo's Primetime, and he was a big hit there, man. Always a big draw. So yeah, Billy Ray, man. Like I'm glad to see him out there. He's still in Hollywood, still doing his thing, man.
Yeah,
so
still doing
he's had some
thing.
longevity to his career, not necessarily music, but
well, you got Old Town Road. He popped out and remixed Old Town Road and made it a hit. And And then one, too, like Miley Cyrus gets a lot of guff, right? People give her a hard time. I actually like her music, dude. Like, I don't know what it is about her, but I actually dig her music.
So I'm not that big a fan of hers. She had a couple of songs. What's the Throw Your Hands Up to Play?
Oh, yeah.
Party in the USA or something like that.
Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure song.
That's it's so catchy, man. I love that song. But her voice is so changed now. It's so different. I think it's interesting. But I just don't think she's a great singer. I think she tries to do the Cranberry Zombie, and it's not there for me. The Bad Wolves is definitely the best remix of that one to me.
She did a Blondie remix, Heart of Glass. She did a Metallica, Nothing Else Matters, and like it's really good. Like I dig it. Like I dig her voice, like that gravelly voice. It's almost kind of like a rock and roll, almost like a Blondie vibe, and I really like Blondie.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Absolutely. And so, I absolutely dig it. And Patty is all over George Strait.
All right, let's give King George some love right here.
Yeah.
George Strait was the man. He is the man.
He is the man.
So I went, did I tell y'all about going karaoke a few weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. No, remember I made you sing on the show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I sung a George Strait song. I sung a Troubadour. And George Strait just keeps getting better, man. Like, I think Troubadour is actually my favorite George Strait song of all of them. Man. I just really dig the melody. I dig the lyrics. I think it's an awesome song. So George Strait, and especially in the 90s, I mean, he was it, man. So, yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever watch that movie he did, Pure Country?
I did, yeah. That's where I crossed my heart from and all that. I crossed my heart and all that stuff come from, yeah.
Well, I'd love to be Jimmy Don. What? Why would you love to be me?
You'd love to be Jimmy Don.
Why?
That might be the weirdest comment we've heard.
Patty, you have to explain yourself. I mean, I know J.D. wants to be me. J.D. would like to be cool like me, but, I get it, Like, now, back in the day.
Everybody's just leaving that running.
Right. Look, I know how it is, J.D. It's fine. I shouldn't have said that out here on the show. I know you've told me that off. What? I'm
totally going in a different direction than I expected.
Yeah, it's totally me too, J.D. I wasn't expecting that. That's
totally got something to say about that.
Yeah. No, I'd love to be all over GS.
Oh,
Patty. Okay. Yeah.
Patty must be drinking.
Oh man, we've gone off the rails completely here, but no,
that's what we do.
That's what we do. But no, I really have. I've enjoyed this week because a lot of times I'll listen to the news or KSR coming home from work, but what I've been doing, because it's been nice out, dude, I've been rolling the windows down, turning on some old 90s country, and then just jamming out. And I've had the best week as far as just feeling good about it.
So I feel like that. Of all those 90s guys, I feel like Tracy Lawrence was always the most underrated one. I feel like Tracy never got his due, with Alibis and I See You Now or some all those songs, man. The front world had a front porch. Man, Tracy Lawrence had some really good music in the 90s. And
yeah, he did.
I mean, if you're in the country, in 90s country, Tracy Lawrence was really high up on the list for me, for sure.
So let's transition just a tick. Did you watch that Jake Paul fight last night?
I didn't, man. I didn't watch it, but it didn't last long, apparently. I mean, he knocked out Ben Askren in the first round of the fight, which was like a crazy – like Ben Askren was really a serious competitor in the UFC for a minute. And then Jake Paul apparently is no joke. I mean, he's a good athlete. We all know that. But
right.
Yeah. What's his brother's name? The Paul
Logan?
Brother. Logan Paul, yep.
And no, he dude, he must have. I mean, when she knocked Nate Robinson out, like stiffing Nate Robinson out, I mean, like that was a crazy knockout. Apparently, did the same thing to Ben Askren. Like, where's he going with this? Like, is he wanting to actually be like a professional boxer or MMA or?
I don't know, but it sounds like he may have something, man.
He can
the thing about those guys, they have access to things that we don't have, man. Really. With their YouTube career and as big as they are on YouTube and the money they make, I mean, they can go out and get serious trainers. And if they got some athleticism, and this here brings me to a point, man. I feel like I can fight pretty good. I mean, I can hold my own with most average people. I'm going to be tough to handle. But now if you take guys, man, if you give me a serious training session 8 hours a day and let me really just focus on fighting, I could be a bad dude, you know. And a lot of these guys, a lot of people are that way. You know, if you take somebody like Logan Paul or Jake Paul, who are pretty good athletes on top of having all that ability and access to the training, I mean, it wouldn't take them long to get very good, I don't think.
No, I mean, it may be like, I just wonder if he, like, I could see if
I don't know what his end game.
Yeah. Well, if you're a puncher, I can see more boxing, right?
Sure.
Ben Askew is a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
So now, is he a true wrestler, or is he also?
So Ben Askren was like an All-American wrestler in college,
right?
So like he's legit, right?
So like I could see if you're a wrestler, you're not, you know, everybody's got a game plan till you get punched in the face, right? That's what Mike Tyson used to say. Sure. Everybody's got a plan till you hit the face. And so I can imagine if you're a puncher going against a wrestler, that if you can clock him, you've got a clear advantage.
Sure.
So, but if you were to put him in the ring with a true MMA fighter, he's liable to get rolled because those dudes would get under those punches and get him on the ground and beat him to death.
Yeah, but now he's been doing this for a minute now. You know, like you said, the Nate Robinson fight, now this fight. And so he's got some time in the ring now, in some serious training sessions where he's really learning the game. I mean, it's hard to tell what this guy might end up doing, man.
I'll be interested to see. It's interesting anyway.
I didn't realize how built he was. So I seen the weigh-in pictures. I was like, that dude's a big dude, man.
Yeah.
Ben Askren looked terrible. Ben Askren looked like he was a little, I don't know, man. I don't know if he took this fight serious. But I seen a thing today where it was before the fight. I guess Jake Paul was like a 20-1 odds favorite, like, you know, to lose or to win, 20-1. And he told the people that he was interviewing with, he said, now you make sure you remember that nobody's giving me a chance in this fight. Everybody's saying I'm already out in this fight. Everybody's saying I'm down in this fight. And when I knock him out, everybody's going to start making excuses. The excuses are going to start rolling in. Now, I've not heard the excuses yet, but I'm sure they're coming from the Askren camp. But he beat his ass, man. That's all you can say about it.
Well, and to Rundle's point, I've been in a few fights in my day. Won some, lost some, held my own in some. If you train me 8 hours a day, I'd still get my ass kicked. So it's
when you was 25, that might not have been the case.
Maybe not the case, but yeah, no, I mean, like I've been in a few fights in my day. Sometimes you just got to fight. It's unfortunate, and being where we're from, sometimes you just got to go, and you can't help it. Some people just won't let you get past it. So I've been in a few of my day, but it's definitely not something I sought out. But it would be. I'm interested to see what happens with this cat dude, because one thing about it is the marketing machine behind it has made it interesting.
Yeah.
And like he's got something going, dude. Because I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he could get in there against a true fighter, like a real fighter.
Yeah, but Askren's won some UFC fights, man.
Right, but he's he's a wrestler. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rundle, I'm with you, dude. I'd pull a muscle for sure. I'd be out of breath in 30 seconds. It ain't easy getting into a fight.
No, everybody's like, oh, the first 30 seconds, bro. 30 seconds
is a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, for sure, man. But no, it's I'm interested to see. Like, it's got my attention for sure.
Oh, absolutely, me too.
It's 100% got my attention. All right, so before we jump into kind of like our primary topic this week, I do want to give a shout out to a couple of boys from here in Martin County that just recently signed golf scholarships with Alice Lloyd College. They're twins. What are their names, JD? Is it
Logan and Dylan? Or Logan, Matt and Dylan.
Matt and Dylan Fitch. Their dad graduated high school with me. Always considered him a good friend. I know those boys. I don't really know them well. I know who they are, and I know they've played baseball and stuff for years and are good athletes. But apparently they're just really good young men. And John and Angela, their parents, congratulations to them and to the boys for getting ready to pursue golf, man, on the next level. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And as I found out Friday, golf's not easy, man. So congratulations to them. Getting an opportunity to go continue their career on a collegiate level. It's always a big deal for me when our local kids are doing big things. And I think the Grayson girl signed a scholarship this week.
She did.
Play volleyball somewhere.
At Union.
At Union College, that's right.
Gina Grayson, yeah. She signed to play volleyball. Dude, we got a lot of kids doing some good stuff around here, man.
Absolutely.
You had Lauren Horn signed with UPike. to play
What's she doing?
volleyball.
Volleyball, okay, good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of our kids, man, are doing very well. I'm very proud of what we see our kids doing. Hold on one second. Do you guys have a topic since Trump left office? When he was president, you always had a good one. We got a couple good ones tonight, Patty Meadmore, Miss George Strait. Yeah, so let's jump into a couple.
That's a good point, though, Patty.
Yeah, it is a great point. So let's actually, it was something JD and I were actually kind of talking about the other day. I walk into the Alliance office, and him and Craig are debating gun control or something. And of course, me and Craig gang up on JD. And that's the norm for JD. That's why JD argues so well, is because he has to argue everywhere he goes when he's talking about these topics, because everybody around here generally goes on, the other direction as what JD would. So, and I told JD, I said, the show is so different now than it was when Trump was in office. And he's like, well, how so? I said, because I was always, and when Brad was with us, we were always on the defensive because JD was coming. We knew every Sunday JD was coming. And it was going to be something about Trump, and we were always on the defensive. And now I get to be on the offensive. But really, Biden, like outside of the gun control stuff that we talked about last week, and outside of the border stuff, those are the two things that he's done that really bother me. That I'm not happy with how that's going. But other than that, you don't really get to attack a lot because he's so boring. He literally does nothing. It's, you can go back to the Alzheimer's thing. He does struggle at times, but half the time he seems pretty sharp. Kamala Harris hasn't been to the border yet, even though she was tapped to go. We could complain about that. But do you feel that difference, JD? Because I know you're not coming as far as having to be prepared, but we had to prepare because JD was coming every week.
If it sounds like I was picking on Trump, no.
If you were.
No, Patty Moore, I'm not there, and I will never be there. That's not. He's also. We'll get off topic. We may talk about that in a minute, but it has changed our podcast because it was so easy, man. Because he was so in our face all the time. The media was pumping him into every home. One side was always cutting him down. The other side was always defending him. And one of the things I said about Biden, I'm ready for a president who's not going to be in the headlines all the time or not controlling the news media or the what people are talking about all the time. So I still feel like it's a relief, even though it makes us, struggle with this podcast, finding topics sometimes. But I'll still take that over having him in office.
Well, like I said, I am, as far as Biden goes, if I'm being 100% honest, and me being 100% honest, it is kind of nice to not have to come on here and talk about Trump every week, right? And have to defend it. Now, it's also fun when I do get something where I get to push on JD, because before we never really got to do that. It was always JD pushing on me and Brad when Brad was on here with us. And I had to prepare a lot more. I would actually prepare, okay, what's JD going to say? What's his points going to be? How do I push back? Do I agree with that? Do I not? And so it made it really, fun. And the podcast is still fun. I love doing it. We just have to talk about different stuff now. And Patty, I'm not sure. He may be suffering from some mild dementia. At times you think he is. I think them keeping him away from the press as much as they have is something. But you were used to Trump. Back to that. You were used to Trump literally talking to the press every single day. He would come outside and just talk to them because he wanted to be on TV.
Yeah. He wanted to control the headlines, control the narrative. Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. And so we didn't talk about this. But what do you think about him, about Biden pulling troops out of Afghanistan by September 11th?
I'm happy with that. I don't want our troops over there anyway, man. I think it's almost kind of pointless. And we've got to get to the point, too, where, I understand. It has not just been Biden and Trump and whoever else. I think you're going to create a power vacuum there, similar to what happened with Libya. And it's probably going to fall in on itself. But we also do not have to police the world. We got enough problems here at home that I think we should be here taking care of business at home.
So I was asked the same question, and so that's why I brought it up. How do you feel about Biden pulling the troops out of Afghanistan by September 11th? I feel a couple ways about it. One, just to be, if I'm being frank, and I don't want to be frank because my name's Jason, but anyway, I always thought that joke was hilarious. I don't know why.
Go ahead.
But if I'm being honest, I don't know enough about it to have a strong opinion because I don't know. What I don't want to happen is just pull out and have to go back. I don't want that because it's more expensive, having to go back. But I also know that we can't stay there forever. And there's going to have to be a time when we finally get out of Afghanistan and let those people take care of their own selves. Now, what does it look like? I don't know. I don't know how we put political pressure on them. Al-Qaeda or not Al-Qaeda. I'm sorry, the Taliban. There's a lot of people who think they're going to be right back in control once we leave, which means there's no more women going to school and all these things. They're going backwards. But we have to define what we are to that. Like, is that any of our business? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I wish I had a better answer. But, I think we have to get out there sometime. I'm glad to see us go ahead and pull this trigger and get out of there.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. He's actually gotten a lot of pushback from people on the Democratic side because of that decision. Like, there's been a lot of pushback from the Democratic Party on that and Republican too, because I almost feel like it's this industrial war machine that we've created as a country, that we are in all these countries. We have bases in all these countries, and it's about control and it's about positioning yourself for wartime. But at the same time, the reason a lot of these countries hate us is because we occupy their countries.
Sure. Absolutely.
And
how do you feel about, do you think that this shows some character by Biden that are standing up to some of the people on the Democratic side and doing what he thinks is right?
I actually do, man, because as far as, I don't know that we're ever going to win in those places. They're just different than we are. Their religious beliefs are so different than what we believe, Western Christianity. And it's so different. They don't want us there. And I don't know that we're ever going to be able to, because a lot of times people would get mad at me. I'd say, look, the worst thing they ever did in Iraq was get rid of Saddam Hussein. Because he kept those people in lockdown. He kept them under control.
In line, man. They was in line.
They were in line. And, and once they got rid of him, then things kind of went to chaos. Maybe that was the ultimate plan, right? Maybe that was the idea. But you don't know. So because now we got troops there everywhere.
Right.
But I know we've had a lot of guys die over there, and we spent a lot of taxpayer money in this, military industrial complex that we are. And I know you and I actually agree on that we could take some of our money, and fund some of these other things if we take it away. And not that you want to weaken our military. It's just that you can take a couple $1 billion from this $25 billion budget that we have for the military and apply it to healthcare or something like that.
So I don't know what the new budget is for military. I know last year it was $738 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And the next closest was China at 200, I want to say 65 or 68 or something like that. That's crazy, man. I want to have the best military in the world too. I really do. But do we need to be $500 billion better than the next person? Especially when we're members of NATO and the UN and all these other war councils. I just don't see it. I think, I've talked about on here, I think we'd be smart to contract our military out to some of these other countries. Great Britain, you want our military to provide security for you? Cool. You can pay us so much money and we'll make sure that, our Navy is out there patrolling waters all the time.
That's an interesting question. Do you think the U.S. is a bully?
Yes.
I do too. Do too. We are a bully around here. It's why every other country hates us. That's why we're the devil America. It's not because of it's partly because of our religious freedom and the things that we believe religiously, that we allow all types of religion, and you've got Western Christianity. But the biggest part of it is because we occupy their countries, and no other country in the world occupies other countries. What if China come over here and set up shop?
That's not going to work.
It would never happen. We would go nuts.
Yeah, sure. And even we talk about monetary control. People in South America hate us because of that, because we want to do business with them because they have a certain kind of country or a communist or set up, and we don't do business with them. Let that money flow through with our dollar being as much as it is. And there's a lot of those places, they have a very, very valid point that if we just did business with them, then a lot of their governments would work just fine.
That's right.
And like the thing about what was it, Cuba? and we started opening up for Cuba a little bit there, and then we shut it back down. Why? Does anybody know? Do you care what they do in Cuba? I do not care if they're communists.
I care less. I mean, it's a communist country, and I get that, but it's, look, like in some senses, what you said is true. When it comes to women not having the same rights, they're way behind. Like, they're very archaic when it comes to those things. Women are being allowed to go to school. Women are being allowed to just wear normal clothing, not having to cover their faces and things like that. Men allowed to have 20 wives, which I don't know if that's such a bad idea. But, no, sorry.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's an awful idea. But anyway, no, I mean, so in some sense, Western civilization is good because of how much, people will trash us all the time as far as, with trying to say that we're all racist, trying to say that, women are being held down. But our country is as free as really anywhere else when it comes to those things. You have the right to have an opinion. In other places, you don't. In China, you have an opinion, they'll kill you.
Right. If it ain't government number one.
That's right. And so, but I think your point's good. And it's like, how do you find that mix, right? How do you find the mix of being able to put some of our principles in place to allow women and children and other things to excel in their civilizations, but not be there trying to position ourselves for the oil.
So here's one of the things I want to sound like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth again. I'm a huge proponent of diversity. And I think we get so caught up in saying, oh, well, that's not bad. It's just different. But that's not the case. A lot of times there is a better and a worse. If you want to send your kid to private school or public school, that's a matter of opinion. No big deal to me, whatever. If you're saying your daughter or wife can't go be educated, to me, that's a better or worse thing. In one country, we push the ideal of women getting education. In one country, they say it's bad. That's not an ideal of just different cultures. That's an ideal of better or worse, in my opinion. So I think especially the left has to be careful of saying, oh, it's not that they're better or worse, they're just different. Well, that's not true. Sometimes things are just better or worse. And we need to be careful, especially when it comes to human rights issues, that things are better or worse. And we just need to be cognizant of that as we start talking about different cultures.
Sure. And I think that's fair. Like I said, do I think we're a bully? 100%. Are there some places that we're in, like, you hate to say that, your military, because I have the highest respect for our military, the highest respect, and the men who serve. You served. I never served. My dad did. I just have a great deal of respect for, men and women of our military. But I feel like they could be here at home serving rather than serving in these other countries, that they don't want us there in the first place. And there's real, strategic advantage for us to be there.
Yeah. I mean, your point's well taken. But you'll never find a general who's going to say, oh, well, we need to leave there because there's no strategic. There's always a strategic.
Always a strategic advantage, yeah.
Sure. But we just have to realize, is the strategic advantage a real thing? That's like when we went to war with Iraq. Were they a real threat to us? Should we ever been over there?
No.
Absolutely not. We can create this idea that they were some major imminent threat to us, but they weren't. They just weren't, period. But what we do? We used we used George W. Bush, used Colin Powell. And he went on CNN in front of Congress, and he gave this huge briefing about all of the intelligence they had gathered, and made them seem like they were a real threat when they never were a real threat at all.
It was complete BS, really.
Yeah, and so that's the same thing you're always going to get as you start pushing back against this industrial war machine that we talk about all the time. There's always an advantage to being somewhere, but sometimes we have to realize that the benefit does not outweigh the sacrifices we have to make.
Sure. No, man, that was a good discussion. Good topic. That was a good topic. Yeah, I like that. So here's my topic. Here's the one I wanted to talk about. And it was something I'd heard about, and it may be a decision that I have to make. If you notice, even now when you go out, you're seeing a lot more people take the mask off. Most likely because they've been vaccinated would be my guess. But you're seeing that, and even Governor Beshear in Kentucky has said if we can get to a certain number vaccinated, we're going to start releasing restrictions on restaurants and things like that and kind of get back to normal. Well, the topic was brought up about Kentucky football, which I am a season ticket holder. And they were like, okay, do you think they'll be back at full capacity this fall when football kicks back off? And my answer to that question was yes, I do. I think we'll be at the point where we can be back to full capacity. But the other question, there was two things. I said, okay, maybe there's a couple of caveats. You have to wear a mask, to come in. Okay, fine. I'll put a mask on. I would do. The other one was you would have to show proof that you had been vaccinated. And I got a problem with that. And I might, because I miss Kentucky football so bad, and we're going to be awesome this year. I mean, we're going to be awesome. We just signed, 3 kids in the top 300 on Friday and Saturday. Like, we're going to be awesome. I cannot wait for football season. It's been 2 years since I've been in Commonwealth Stadium, and I'm chomping at the bit to get back. My question to you is, if that was laid out to you and said, okay, you have to be vaccinated, you have to show proof of vaccination to be able to go into the football game, would you do it?
Man.
And I know you will get vaccinated anyway. I know you.
I don't like the ideal of forced vaccinations. Now, I do understand, maybe that incentivizes some people who wouldn't get vaccinated. On one hand, if they said, if you show us proof you're vaccinated, you'll be able to come to this ball game. I'm sure that would incentivize some people. But I don't necessarily like that, man. I think that's a slippery slope to go down. I don't know why exactly. I don't know exactly why I don't like it so much, but I don't like it. Go ahead.
I'm not sure that Kentucky football will require that, right? Just because you're outside, number one. And if you're wearing a mask, fine, okay. I don't think necessarily they'll require it. Plus, it's a public institution with taxpayer money, and you may have a lot of taxpayers that would push back against that. So I don't know that would necessarily be a requirement, but I would almost guarantee that at some point to fly on an airplane, you will have to have been vaccinated.
And how you feel about it?
I will probably drive.
Yeah, I'm not saying like. Is the government or are these private industries, even talking about travel, are they overstepping, asking for those things?
I think they are. To me, like I said, dude, and people that don't agree with this approach will get mad when I say this.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to throw Joey up. What's up, man?
What's up, Joey?
And Rundle, I'm smelling national championship too, baby. It's us and Bama SEC championship game. They're going down. Yeah, going down. But no, as far as what did Patty throw up here? I think it's taking one of our liberties away, the right to choose what goes on in your body. And I think what do you think about that, JD? I mean, because that's a valid point.
I understand where she's coming from, but we've been doing it for years, bro. We've always done that. And not saying, and I'm not even saying that makes it okay. But they're taking your rights away. I don't know. How do you feel? Like, before you can go to school, your kids had to have certain vaccinations. They had to prove paper. And it's been a good thing overall, right? That there's no more polio around. There's no more smallpox around because these vaccines do work.
See, that didn't bother me because they've been giving those vaccines for 50 years.
What if your kids have been around 50 years ago when they just first started?
Well, I just think with what I've seen, okay, so smallpox was really bad, right?
Sure.
So I think I would have taken the smallpox vaccine because there's a pretty good chance that would have wiped me out. There's not the percentages of COVID taking me out are really low. Someone my age now, my mom probably ought to go get vaccinated. She won't because she thinks it's the devil. She doesn't trust it. But she, at her age, probably ought to go get vaccinated. And there's been enough people vaccinated at this point to where it's, for the most part, it's safe. Now, you had Johnson & Johnson, I think it was, get put on the shelf this week because of, some issues, but it was still a very, very small percentage.
Blood clots, and there was actually a woman died from one of the blood clots from the Johnson & Johnson. And but of course, it's shelved right now, but I think it's going to go back on to where it can be dispersed among the nation. But so how do you feel about that? Do you think that was the right step to shelf that thing so fast?
Again, it kind of goes back to the whole COVID argument for me to begin with. Is one person died, which is awful, and I don't want to, take away from that at all. It's awful.
Right.
But millions of people have taken that vaccine.
Right.
And one person died. It's awful, but it's a very, very small percentage.
But the math says it's okay.
Yeah. The math says it's okay. Sometimes people are going to die. It just happens. Like I said, I know it's awful to say, but with COVID, the percentages were still so low, really, in the gist of things. The percentages were so low that, it just never, like, I don't take a flu vaccine. I never have. I don't necessarily want to take a COVID vaccine because I feel like the risk to me is very, very low. Now, if you're older, you probably ought to take it because the risk to you is much, much higher. And to me, it's all about risk management. But as far as like going to a UK game, like I'd have to really think about it. But the truth is, I'd probably go get it.
Is that right? Just because you're ready to get that back
after it? Kentucky football. I freaking love it. And I want to go to Commonwealth. I swear I do. I love it. And I mean, like I would probably get it just so I can go to a stupid football game. And my principles when it comes to that go away because I want to go watch a football game.
Yeah, but now the same thing happens. This past football season, one of the coaching staff members, he said, "I am not going to wear a mask." It was like, bro, if you're going to be on the staff, you're going to have to wear a mask. So he goes, "Well, that's how much I love football," and he put his mask on. And so that's why mandates were in place, though, because people wouldn't do it without the mandates, right? Even with the mask, and maybe the same thing with the vaccine. Maybe people need that incentivization to get those things done, and we get to the number where there's something to be said about herd immunity with vaccinations, right? That's what Rashir was talking about with the number needs to be at a certain point before we can lift all these mandates. Go ahead.
Like even like going to concerts, right? That's the other thing I expect to happen. Is because it's indoor, right? And the entertainment industry is generally pretty liberal. And so I feel like they'll say, look, to come, you got to show your card. You got to show your card that you've been immunized and, whatever. I don't know that I would go to another concert. I don't love it that much to go. I've been to 1,000. Right. It's not worth it to me to be told that I have to do it. If I am, flying to Florida versus flying to Hawaii, if I want to go to Hawaii, the only way I'm getting there is to fly. Okay, I'll get vaccinated so that I can fly to Hawaii because it's the most awesome place in the world. And, other than Kentucky, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. And I want to take my kids there someday. So I would do it for that because it's worth it to me. If the government came and said, look, you have to get vaccinated, period, you just have to, then I would be 100% against it. I ain't doing it. But it comes down to what it's worth to you to do it. And like you said, it will force some people to get vaccinated, more people to get vaccinated.
So let me ask you this. We talked about smallpox a minute ago, and I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here a little bit. So how many people would have to die of COVID before you say, okay, maybe I need to go do it? Like before you think the state should be able to mandate it?
More than 4%.
Right. More than 580,000 people?
Yes. Because, and again, that sounds awful to say, right? Because that's 580,000 people and 580,000 families that lost somebody they love. And if I had lost somebody that I loved to the disease, I may feel completely different. It's all about circumstances, right? And how your opinion is shaped. If my mother passed away from COVID, I might change my mind about everybody needs to get vaccinated, okay? But nothing like that happened. And I'm pretty sure we all had it, including my mom. I'm pretty sure we all got it. So it just, at the end of the day, it's a lot of people. But by the math, by the percentages, that many people, or not, probably not that many people, but close to the percentages, that many people die of flu every year. And it's generally the same age group.
Right.
That die from flu. So if you're telling me that 25% of our population is going to get killed off by COVID, if something happens, I'm taking that vaccine right now. Sure. Like we're driving down there and we're taking that vaccine. It's a real threat.
So is 25 the number though? Or like what is the number for you? Is 10% the number? 5%? What?
Probably once you start getting in that 10% or more of our overall population getting wiped out, that's a big number, dude. The chances.
Yeah, sure.
That's a big number. So yeah, I'm going to probably say, I don't want to be him necessarily to a percentage, but I'm going to say 10% probably.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I just
That's okay. No,
I
that's
just kind
fine.
of
No,
want
I
to see
know what
where your line of thinking was.
No, I know what you're doing.
Because to me, 580,000 people, no matter what their age group is or the demographic is, that's a lot of people that can die from this thing. And if I don't think Bill Gates microchipping me. I don't think so to me, it's not a big deal. I haven't scheduled my vaccination yet. I thought I had, but obviously I messed up. But I was going to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine over to the community center a few weeks ago. They ended up running out before I got off work, so I didn't wasn't able to do that. So to me, it's just not a big deal, I guess, because nobody is forcing my hand, and so I feel a lot better about going to do it. I also feel the kickback if it's a government mandated thing. I understand why a person would want to kick back against that.
Yeah, and two, like I said, America is the worst place in the world for it, right? Because we are free to make our decisions. We're free to make most decisions. Now, we live by laws every day, right? The government tells us to do stuff every day of our lives, and like buckle your seatbelt, like, do those things, and we just do it and go on. But the percentages of that seatbelt saving my life, if I'm in a car accident, are really, really high. That I would survive the accident if I was in one. The percentages of me being in an accident are very low, but if I was in one, it's really high that would give me a shot to live. That's different than giving me a vaccine when, like I said, the flu itself, people hate it when you say the flu. Yes, it's been more deadly than the flu. I will concede to that now, okay? But it's not been that much more deadly than the flu. And if you look at the CDC's reports, hell, there ain't been no flu this year. It's all been COVID.
Yeah, that is a weird thing. I don't understand that at all. Patty, I bet he hasn't taken one because he's afraid of needles. I was in the military, girl. You can't be afraid of needles. The shot you got to get in that thing, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've had it. Joey, 14 days in the hospital. Joey got really sick. I remember seeing that he actually got really sick and got the shot 6 months later. I win, star. I have a tall growing now, though.
Tail growing out now.
Tail growing out now, right, yeah. So, no, I mean, as far as, like, it's an interesting – I'm like you, J.D. Like, if the government said you have to take this no matter what, and it's 4% of our population, which is not that much higher than what normally happens every year, every single year, that number of people die from generally the flu. Some of the numbers are higher for cancer and different things. There's a risk to living. It's just living, right? And you make the decision based on what you think. Now, like I said, dude, if I was 70 years old, I'd probably go get vaccinated. Based on what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be that dangerous. And I would, if my mom's watching this, I would, encourage her to go get it. But if she doesn't want to, she's an adult. And she can make that decision for herself. And I think she should be allowed to.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that at all. I think you should be allowed to do it. But I also think that people are well within the rights of restricting people who haven't had vaccines. Like if you don't want to let you into a stadium or a concert or a carnival or whatever, I think that's their decision too. I really do.
If it's a private company, I think they've got the right to do it. And then they just got to figure out if the consumer – right. The people that are, spending money on their product, if those people say, you know what, screw you, I'm not coming to your show, right. And now their business is tanking, how quick will they change? Pretty quick, I would guess, because as you always say, follow the money.
Right, but now if they all get shut down again, they're going to lose much more, different amount of money, so they don't want to do that.
And that's actually a really valid point.
And so they're going to find that balance, and see what they want to do, and see what happens.
No, that's a really valid point, because what you just said is really kind of spot on, because what if the numbers skyrocket again and they have to shut down again? They ain't making it. Right. We were talking about earlier before we came on, we were talking about a show you had been watching you thought I would like. Well, I have this man crush on Mark Wahlberg. All right. I don't know why.
Wall Street.
Wall Street. I have a man crush on Mark Wahlberg.
He's awesome.
He's awesome, dude. I mean, he's fit. He is real about health and he's real disciplined and real dedicated, and he's kind of become a business mogul. I find that interesting, right? And it was interesting. Did you watch it?
I have not watched it yet, but it's definitely on my watch list for sure.
All right, so they show, he's doing all these businesses, right? He's got all these different businesses that he's involved in, and it happens when they're filming this, COVID happens.
Right.
And it actually shows kind of what they're going through from a business standpoint, some of the decisions they have to make. To try to survive COVID and how they got through some of it. It's really interesting. Like I watched every episode in one night. I watched them all Friday night.
Right.
I mean, they're only like 30 minutes long, and there's like 6 or 7 of them, so it didn't take very long. It was like watching a movie. But it was really interesting. And what you said is spot on, because if there's another massive spike and they shut the country down again, then they may be more screwed than if they don't put some kind of mandate on. Right. I mean, I think it's a great point, man. And that's the other thing, too, is, trying to figure out what's right. And the consumer will decide what to do. But I also think at some point, they're really pushing for the vaccine. They're pushing for it, and they're going to give incentives to try to get people to get vaccinated. But I also think at some point it's just going to come down to, all right, these people are adults. You know what the risks are. If you're not going to take it, that's on you, and go from there. And then we get back to life as normal. So I think when football season rolls around, I think, that'll be in the fall. I think it's wide open, full stadiums, especially because it's outside. But full stadiums, Cats are going to kick everybody's ass. I'm with Rundle. SEC championship. We're going to play Bama, and we're going for the national title this year because we're going to.
I love the optimism, bro. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, it's a whole lot earlier. I always call it August optimism. And Wells and I talk. We start talking in August about football season and getting ready and planning out, for our travel schedule for the football season. And we call it August optimism because I'm always so pumped, and then we suck. It's starting now.
So. Did we talk about Donnie Baker show yet? Because we need to make sure we pump that up. It's Friday night, guys. This is it. Just a few more days. Donnie Baker's going to be in Inez, Kentucky. Your boy's going to be emceeing. I'm thinking about eating a Carolina Reaper. What do you think?
I saw that post on our Facebook page. No, you'll die. I want you to get up there and do your comedy. Has anybody watched that video? If you haven't watched the video, me and JD eating a Carolina Reaper, it is on the Just Add Bourbon YouTube channel. Go check it out. And no, you're not.
I just got through watching. I was like, man, I think I can do it live and see what happens.
No, there's no need. There's no need to have that physical comedy. I was watching the thing last night. It was a biography of Chris Farley. Yeah, Patty, it's in Inez at the community center.
She said, "Where's Inez, Kentucky?"
Where's Inez?
Inez. Your fire ass hot my Inez put a baby in you.
Yeah, my Inez put a baby in you. No, and there's a few tickets left, guys. There's a few, but you better get them because I'm telling you, we will sell out before the week's over. I guarantee we will sell out. We don't have that many tickets left.
The corporate guys are starting to buy them up too now. So
yeah, and the corporate people are starting to pick them up, and it's and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait. It's a big deal, dude. Donnie Baker coming to Inez, Kentucky. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, I can't wait either, man. I'm to get in front of the hometown, I'm going to kill, too. I went Thursday to Huntington and did like a few minutes of my set, and it's the best I ever done in front of that crowd. And that crowd intimidates the shit out of me. But I'm excited, man.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to killing it, dude. Like, I can't wait to hear Donnie. I can't wait to hear Chris. I can't wait to hear Johnny Lee. Like, I am pumped up and ready to go. I can't wait for Friday night. So it's going to be a good time. So come down and hang out with us. All right, JD, you got anything else we want to talk about?
I got bro, again.
All right, so I'll wrap the show up for us. Go ahead and do your thing. Of course, guys, you know where you can find us. Podbean is where I actually launched the actual podcast itself from. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, all the places where you can download podcasts. You can find us there. Of course, YouTube and Facebook. JD's running the Facebook, all the social media stuff now. So that's it for us, guys. We appreciate you joining, hitting us up in the comments. Makes for an interesting discussion when you guys do that, and we really appreciate it. As we always end this thing, from myself and from JD, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. Did you wash your hands?
Absolutely not.